Good evening and welcome to Pressing Issues. Today is Sunday, June 6th, 2021, and I am your host, Jason Diffendahl. Tonight is a very special episode of Pressing Issues, so welcome everyone who's watching. I have a couple of special guests with me in the WDWNT studio in Orlando, Florida. So let me introduce them first. We have Disney Desi.
Hi.
Who, if you watched the live stream that we did earlier today from Epcot, you will know she is one of the special guests. And then we have Rich Grafton down here in Orlando.
In Florida, in person. Good evening.
person. And then we have Allie, one of our California reporters, here to tell us all about Avengers Campus, which just opened at Disney California Adventure. So before we start talking about Avengers Campus, tonight is the season finale of Pressing Issues. And this is the first season of Pressing Issues, and this is the last episode of the first season, and I don't think there's going to be a second season. So what we have decided to do is going to be a different sort of format of news show. What we've decided is that Park Center, which is our Wednesday night show, is a fast-paced news show. Pressing Issues, this show, is a slow-paced news show. And what we thought makes the most sense is to combine them into a single news show that has a fast-paced component and a slower-paced component. And so instead of having two shows, we're just going to have one show. I think the one show is going to be called Park Center, but it will have some Park Center-style news discussion, and then it will also have some longer format Pressing Issue style in-depth discussion on one or two topics each week. So all of your favorites, including me, of course, all of your favorites from Pressing Issues in Park Center will still be here, and we'll be rotating on the new show on Sunday night. So the new show will be in this time slot. So the new show takes the Pressing Issues time slot and the Park Center name and some of each of the two shows' format and puts it all together. That new show is going to premiere sometime in July. We don't have an exact date yet, but it'll be sometime in July from the new studio. So after the premiere of WDW News Tonight on July 8th, Pressing Issues will probably happen that Sunday. So that's the 11th, I think, of July. That may be the premiere of the new Park Center. So whether it's called Park Center version 2 or I don't know what we're going to call it.
Parks
maybe
Issues.
Just Park Center.
Maybe
Parks Issues, because these parks have a lot of issues. Other people have proposed Pressing Center. I don't like that. But we'll see. Still up in the air. So we're going to talk about Avengers Campus for the first half hour with Allie, and then all of your favorite panelists from Pressing Issues. Most of them are going to be on tonight for a few minutes, and we're just going to sort of chat. We'll talk about some maybe important things. People have asked that I go on some rants, so I'll do that. But that's going to be the plan for this evening. So let me ask, because I always have to ask, if you're watching and not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. And if you haven't hit that like button yet, please hit like. Thank you, BC Fan, for the super chat that just came in. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
It means a lot. I know you guys love this show. And, oh, they want me to turn my sound up again. Here's the problem. I'm on this mic. Adjust it. So that's the plan. I'll be here. I'll be on the new show. Everybody here will be on the new show. Crank this up a little bit. Hopefully that's better because I can't crank it up much more than that.
Crank it to 11.
11?
Goes to 11, you see.
I don't know what to do about it. Need volume up. All right. Allie, why don't you start talking about Avengers Campus while I go play with the volume?
All right, so Friday, Katie and I did Avengers Campus opening. We covered everything. Katie got there really, really early. I had to work in the morning, so I think I parked around 8:30 and then walked in at about 9 a.m. and then we spent the entire day at Avengers Campus. Let's see, we'll start with the good things. There were characters everywhere. That part I thought was really, really cool. So there are constantly all kinds of Avengers and Marvel characters out walking around. There was a lot of shows and live entertainment that I think California has been starved for. So there are several different shows, stunt shows. All of that is on the YouTube thing. We filmed all of that so you can watch everything. My favorites were the Spider-Man stunt show. If you watched Imagineering, they show that robot they were working on. So they finally bring that into the show, and that was really cool. And then the last thing we saw was the Doctor Strange show, and that was really, really, really well done. We had to wait quite a bit to get into that, but it was totally worth it. And then we also bought all of the food. So all of our reviews are up on Disneyland News Today. Let's see, breakfast was not awesome. Everything very, very dry and tasteless, so I would definitely skip breakfast. Get that somewhere else. And then we moved on to lunch. We did all of the food. We did Terran Treats. Both of those were very good. We did the shawarma. Katie really enjoyed the chicken one. I actually enjoyed the Impossible Falafel one, so we would recommend the shawarma. And then we did everything from the PIM Tasting Lab. Our favorite thing was definitely the Choco Smash candy bar. That is something you absolutely have to get. It was this huge candy bar. Think like a Snickers meets a brownie, and it was awesome. And then there's a couple things we didn't like in there. There's a big pretzel we enjoyed. The big chicken sandwich, I really liked that. Katie liked the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then, of course, there's the $100 sandwich. We did not get the $100 sandwich. We got the small version of it, and we both hated it. So some of the bloggers said they liked it. I don't know, maybe theirs tasted different than ours, but the bread was dry, the ham had no taste, and it was massively disappointing. So I would maybe try the smaller one before you commit to the $100 one. And then we also did all of the drinks. I think it's actually really cool that DCA now has a brewery and a bunch of beer cocktails. Let's see, there's a beer flight. Actually have this. It comes on this cute little ruler with a bunch of little beer glasses.
That's adorable.
So that's a super fun souvenir that you get to keep. And then it's got this on it, and on the back. Yeah, so
That's cool.
I think it was $35 for the beer flight. The beers were okay, but I think you'll be happy with it. There was a seltzer, like a milk stout, an IPA, and I think a grapefruit Hefeweizen. The grapefruit Hefeweizen was not good, but the rest were okay. And then there were 3 beer cocktails. I liked all 3 of the beer cocktails. And then there were 3 regular cocktails. One of them was not good. It just tasted like gin. I can't remember which one that was called, but the other 2 were pretty good. They had some boba in it. It was super fun. Like the cast members were really, really nice. It was just neat to have like a kind of like a bar atmosphere that you could walk up to, and like that part was cool. I think DCA needed that. Oh, and then we also have Tom's light up drink container. So you get your soda here, and then everyone walks in this, and it's like a whole scene. But all right.
So the merch
then
was
let's
cool.
talk. Merch was cool. Everybody seemed happy with the merch. I actually thought that was pretty neat. The other thing that we liked were the details of the land, like the Hulk tree I thought was really cool. Just a bunch of the signs and stuff. Like, I'm not an Avenger or Marvel fan, so I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I appreciated that the details that they had in there. So now let's talk about the things that we didn't like. Let's see.
We do have a question in the chat. What is PIM? So I think that's just the name of the scientist who came up with the Ant-Man costume,
Yeah,
correct?
everything
Hank
there. I don't know
Pym.
what PIM is called. PIM there's the PIM Tasting Lab, PIM Technologies. So everything was named after that. I've never seen an Avengers movie, so maybe someone else can answer that.
Yeah, it's the Ant-Man movie. You have to watch the Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, so he just makes
Yeah.
things either really big or really small.
Yep.
And that's what they were trying to do with the food, which I thought was cute. Like the attention to detail was cute, but some of the food was a little bit tasteless, I guess would be the word we would use. All right, let's see. Let's see, there was a huge line to get into Avengers Land. So your entire day, basically, you need to either arrive at 5 or 6 a.m. to immediately get into the land or hope that you get a web slinger's boarding pass. Katie, fortunately, got boarding group 14 for us, so she was able to get into the land right away. I walked into the park right at 9 a.m. Our boarding group showed up, and I was able to skip the massive line to get into the land and walk right in. So if you are lucky enough to get a boarding group, then your day is going to be a lot better. I don't love that right now because we're going back on Tuesday. And again, if we get a boarding group, everything's going to be fine. If we don't get a boarding group, then your day is kind of up in the air.
It's kind of like your Hollywood Studios experience here if you don't get the boarding group for Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah, and I don't know why they're not doing it like when Galaxy's Edge opened, where they had like 4-hour blocks that you could basically reserve. You don't need more than 4 hours in that area. So that way you could kind of like guarantee that you could get on both rides and get whatever food you wanted. And I think people would have a much better day doing that, but they didn't ask me. So let's see, there was no shade and not nearly enough seating. So people were just sitting at a table the entire day and everybody was just waiting around for their boarding group or their mobile order. And you don't want to leave the land because you can't get back into the land. So everybody was just kind of waiting around for their food or their boarding group to be called. So that was a little chaotic. Hopefully that will get better as, people are less excited about it. The mobile order was a mess. I was reading through some stuff today. It seems like it's better, but like everything was gone by 8:30 on Friday, and yesterday I heard people were doing it at 5 a.m. from home, and everything was gone at like 7 a.m. So yesterday they were letting people in if you had a mobile order, but today they stopped doing that. So you can only order if you're in the land. If you order and you're not in the land, they're gonna not refund your money and you're out of luck. So I actually pulled that up right now, and there were mobile orders available, so it seems like they've sorted that out, so that's good. I guess we need to talk about web slingers. The ride, we found it very underwhelming. Kind of think Smuggler's Run meets Midway Mania, and when we got off of the ride, we both agreed that we would rather go on Midway Mania again. So we thought the tech was cool, the graphics were neat, but it's kind of boring. The ride was really short. The story's been done. There was nothing for us that wowed us. Tom had us get the attachments, the tech that go with it. So Katie was filming while I was using both of those. I found them kind of bulky and heavy, and I didn't feel like it added anything to the experience. I would like to try the ride again without that to see what the difference was. But, I don't love that Disney is trying to get you to, buy things to make the ride for a ride that's very good. And seems like a lot of people kind of felt the same way, that Midway Mania is a better ride. It's been there longer, and for this to be like their star attraction was really, really disappointing. We did think the pre-show was really cool. There was a bunch of like spider bots running around. Tom Holland did a really good job. They had some cool graphics and things like that. But then you get on the ride and there's just a couple scenes and then you're done. Let's see. The store was really, really tiny and overcrowded. And it seemed like a lot of the merch was just Spider-Man stuff. So I don't know why everything's Spider-Man, but that's what it was. Overall, we found the land a little underwhelming. It was way too crowded and we just wanted to be in Cardland. That was our take of the day. But some people seem to really like it. I mean, we'll definitely go back. It would be something where I'd probably walk through, maybe grab the sandwich that I liked and grab a beer cocktail or two, and I'd probably only go on Web Slingers if it was 10 minutes or less of a wait time. But we do like Guardians of the Galaxy, so it's good to be able to go on that with a minimal wait time. But those are our thoughts for the day.
I will say that I'm jealous that you have shawarma because it is my favorite food anywhere. So
Shawarma-
I'm actually really upset that we don't have that here at our Morocco pavilion because when I was in the real Morocco, I ate shawarma like every single day. So I can't believe we don't have that here.
Yeah, that seems like a missed opportunity to not have that there. But we have 2 shawarma
I know,
vendors
I'm
campus.
so jealous.
So it kind of seems like this is a land that was shoehorned into an existing space, right? So we know that's the case. There's a new attraction, but only one in the
Right.
land. You need to get a boarding group for it, and if you don't get a boarding group, you're kind of boxed out. And the actual attraction is somewhat underwhelming.
Correct.
So really, this is like Galaxy's Edge all over again, for the most part, except Galaxy's Edge has 2 attractions instead of 1.
And one of them is not at all underwhelming.
But
Oh,
you
yeah,
still
Rise-
need a boarding group for
You
it.
do still need a boarding group, yeah.
I don't like it. It's not my favorite. Talking about Rise.
Yes.
Rise is not my
Yeah.
favorite.
Oh, I love it.
It's a good
it too.
attraction. It's a very good attraction. I don't.
Is it because you don't like the sequel trilogy?
No, it honestly has nothing to do with the movies. To be honest, I think
Good, 'cause
it's.
neither does Galaxy's Edge.
I don't really want to get into.
We'll defer the rant till later. Is that...
I mean, my problem with Rise of the Resistance is that I think a lot of the ride was designed around the ride vehicles being trackless, and I feel that a ride should be designed as an experience, and then you select the appropriate ride vehicle to complement the experience. That's the ideal way to build attractions. What Disney has been doing for a long time now is building a ride to fit a technology. And usually those rides aren't great, and in most cases underwhelming, and Web Slingers is an example of that. And honestly, I think Rise is an example of that too. I think
But
that
at least ride 20 minutes, right? Web Slingers was maybe 3-4 minutes.
yeah, I mean, Web Slingers is obviously much worse. But you know, when Disney built Pirates of the Caribbean, they didn't say, "Oh, let's come up with a ride that uses a boat because that's the newest technology that we have from the World's Fair, and let's build a ride that uses a boat." That's not how they did that. They came up with the ride concept, and Pirates was going to be a walk-through attraction. And then they said, you know what? Here's a boat, and it would make this ride a much better attraction. And so then they used the boat. That's how attractions should be designed.
Haunted Mansion was supposed to be a walkthrough too.
Haunted Mansion was supposed to be a walkthrough, and they invented the Omnimover to make that a better attraction. They did not design Haunted Mansion as an Omnimover attraction. Mystic Manor is an attraction that I think is a fantastic attraction, and it utilizes trackless ride technology very well. But again, I don't think Mystic Manor, I keep calling it Phantom Manor, Mystic Manor wasn't designed to be a ride that showcases trackless technology. Pooh's Honey Hunt, which is a fantastic attraction, already existed and showcased the trackless technology. And so Mystic Manor was a ride that was designed very well and utilized the trackless ride technology. Rise, I think, they knew they wanted a trackless ride in Galaxy's Edge, and so they forced. And I don't know that there's a better ride vehicle technology that they could have used on Rise of the Resistance. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. I don't know. But to me, it feels like they forced that ride to use the trackless technology. What I'd really like to see is a ride that uses the Pirates in Shanghai ride technology, which is a boat, but it's a boat that has multiple methods of control. It doesn't just float down a canal. That's a really neat technology. And I think it's a great technology for Pirates. That attraction in Shanghai has other problems, but they're not related to the ride technology. So that's my feeling. That's my mini rant for the first half hour of the show.
So do you also think that Web Slinger is force-fitting or showcasing the technology rather than the
I kind of think so.
experience?
I kind of think so. Like, I mean, to some extent, they came up with a concept of, well, we want to shoot webs, and I think the ride, the web shooting thing, was developed in order to sell merchandise, right?
Yeah.
And if it's bad to design a ride around a ride technology, it's even worse to design a ride around selling merchandise. And so I think Web Slingers suffers from that, which is definitely worse, and it definitely seems to be the case.
Because it's the spider bots and the extras to
right. I mean, it's a great idea. It's a great idea to come up with a way to integrate stuff you bought with a ride, but as we've seen with Glow at the Show, or whatever they call it, whatever they used to call it, it used to be Glow at the Show.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't really catch on. I mean, Glow at the Show is really cool, and when they started out with that, and they gave everybody, this was at the World of Color premiere, when they gave everybody in the audience the Glow at the Show ears, and they all lit up in unison, and the whole audience had them. It was really cool. But if 5 or 10% of the people have them, it doesn't have the same effect. And that's really the problem, and I think that's going to be the problem with Web Slingers, is that if people don't want to buy the merchandise, it's going to be detrimental to the experience.
Well, I don't think that Rise has that problem. I don't think that Rise was developed just to sell merchandise.
No, it wasn't. Absolutely. Rise was not developed just to sell merchandise. Rise was developed because there was a mandate to have a trackless ride technology. And so, I don't know. I mean...
we almost got on Rise this trip. We finally got a boarding group, and then Rise, as it does, shut down for the rest of the day.
Yep.
So close. But, I mean, to me, the vehicles in Rise seem more like a trackless Omnimover in many ways, because they point you, where the Imagineers wanted to see you. You want to see this and that, without having to be tied to a track, so to speak.
Right.
So they probably were, hey, we bought all these things, let's use them. Whatever the decision was, but I don't know.
I still think it's impressive.
I would say that for the experience that it seems like they were going for, I don't know what other technology would have been.
I don't disagree with that.
I don't think KUKA arms and track in those places would have been appropriate.
No, I don't disagree with that. But the classic attractions were developed as a concept, and then a ride vehicle was selected to fit the concept.
That is.
I think that always produces a better experience.
you look at the concept art for every single one of the rises that we've published anyway, that we've seen, there's always a trackless vehicle, like from day zero. So that's
yeah, right. And I think the problem is compounded by the fact that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway uses the same exact technology, and Ratatouille, when it opens, is going to use the same exact technology.
You can't compare Mickey and Minnie's to Rise.
No, I'm just comparing the trackless technology. And so what I'm saying is that the trackless technology has been around for 20 years, and now they're bringing it into 3 different attractions that are all opening within a year or 2 of each other. It lessens the impact. Right? Part of the reason Mystic Manor at Hong Kong has such an impact on people is because it's really the only trackless ride there, and it's really the only the second trackless ride in existence, or other than Ratatouille, I guess. But you know, it's those attractions. The technology impresses people, right? And so there's a mandate to use an impressive technology because it will be liked by many people. But then when you do the same thing over and over and over again, it gets kind of boring. And that's why Body Wars never had the same level of crowds that Star Tours did, because it's the same technology. If you look at Dinosaur versus Indiana Jones Adventure, one of them is mobbed all the time, and one of them is kind of And yeah, the ride is worse, but also I think the technology, especially for people that have gone on Indiana Jones Adventure, I don't go on Dinosaur most of the times I go to Animal Kingdom, simply because I can go on a better ride with the same ride technology. The ride technology does not make me want to go on that ride. If it was a different ride technology than anything else that existed, then I'd go on it. I'd be much more inclined to go on that attraction. And so when Ratatouille comes, I'll go on it, but it's probably the 6th or 7th on my list of trackless ride vehicles as far as an attraction that I want to go on. And so you can't expect that the technology is going to drive people to ride an otherwise mediocre attraction after they ride it once. And I think that's exactly what Allie was saying about Web Slingers, is she'd go on it if it's like a 10-minute wait or less, but there's no reason. The technology of the ride is not good enough to get people to want to wait and ride it again and again. I think for Rise, I don't think the reason that people want to ride that again and again and again is because of the ride technology, right?
I mean, when you design tech for a show, when we design tech for a show, you want the tech to disappear. Then you've really done your job well.
That's right.
To play, I don't know, devil's advocate, Chapek stooge, whatever. There was a period in Disney history where almost every single ride was a vehicle on a powered track that went through flat scenery.
Like all of Epcot when it opened.
Right. And
right?
I mean, a lot of Disneyland and a lot of Magic Kingdom when it opened were just that kind of ride, because that was the prevailing technology that they used to tell a story. So it's not necessarily, I don't think, that every attraction has to have a different technology, because then people would be looking for new technology to draw them into the ride. It goes back to the, as we've said before, the story, the experience, those things that are actually very hard to do.
Yes.
Are still somewhat lacking.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
That's what costs money, takes time, and today's corporations, including Disney, are not really up on that philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I think Rise of the Resistance is a fantastic attraction. It's certainly in like the top 10 of my favorite attractions. It's just in the bottom half of the top 10. I'd rather go on Mystic Manor 10 times.
Well, if I had been on Mystic Manor, I might agree with you. But since I only go to Walt Disney World and I've been to Disneyland once, I guess I think that Rise of the Resistance is amazing.
And that's fine. And you know, I'd really here's I think the most accurate comparison is if you took Mystic Manor and Ratatouille and put them next to each other and looked at what would happen. Right? Mystic Manor is a spectacular attraction with a storyline that is completely original and very entertaining. And then you have Ratatouille, which is, you know. And so if you put two rides with the same exact ride technology next to each other, one of them is going to have much more popularity than the other one. And that's because so it's not because of the ride technology, it's because of the story.
Right.
And so essentially what I'm saying is that they need to focus on the story first and not try to make something that fits a ride technology.
Right. I mean, I think we could agree that if you put Indiana Jones and Dinosaur next to each other, which are exactly the same ride,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones would be slammed and Dinosaur would be a
And exactly. 100%. And the same
story
with
and everything is just
Yep.
not nearly as good.
Yep. And the same with Body Wars and Star Tours. And the same with Ratatouille and Mystic Manor. All those juxtapositions, if they were in the same park, would, I think, 100% prove what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I loved Dinosaur when it came out, but I had never been to Disneyland before.
Right.
And so the first time I went to Disneyland was maybe 3 years ago, and I don't know if I've ridden Dinosaur since.
Yeah. I mean, I go on Dinosaur, and I can picture in my mind the ride scenes of Indiana Jones because I know how the track turns in Indiana Jones. The reverse doesn't happen, right? I'm not thinking, when I'm riding Indiana Jones, I'm not thinking, oh, this is where the Carnotaur comes after me. No, I'm thinking the other way around. When I'm on Dinosaur, this is where the big ball is rolling down and going to fall on us, right? And so that tells you that the storyline is what is the most memorable part of a ride. And if the storyline isn't there, the ride's going to be a failure, whether it uses great technology or not.
And they made some changes to Dinosaur, didn't they? So that it was less scary.
I believe they did.
Over yeah,
time.
they did.
I mean,
over
they
time.
changed how the Carnotaur behaves and some of the timing, if I remember.
Yeah,
So they've actually made it a worse ride
Yeah.
right.
than when it came out.
I mean, Alien kind of was the same way. They made changes to make it less scary, and most people said, well, this is the worst ride. Yeah, it's less scary, and that's what they were going for, but it's also less fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And I imagine, I mean, I haven't, obviously, since being on the East Coast, and in Florida, I haven't been to Avengers at all. But it's, I mean, there are thousands of storylines you could have with Spider-Man, especially like up the street here on International Drive, has a good story for Spider-Man.
Have you done the Spider-Man ride here?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't be able to compare.
It seems that's part
No,
of the
but kind of
disappointment.
said, like, if you have Midway Mania and Web Slingers right next to each other, I feel like most people are going to head to Midway Mania. And it is similar. We'll see.
so, all right. I guess anybody in the chat want to ask any more questions about Avengers Campus from Allie, or anybody here? Yeah, I mean, here's the question, and this tells you just what I think of the whole thing. That the most compelling question I can think of to ask was, how many people did you see ordering the $100 sandwich?
I'd say we probably saw at least 30 go by.
30
Really?
people.
That I know.
Like, how many people would that feed?
It says it feeds 6 to 8.
So that's
It was
pretty
pretty- it was pretty
reasonable
big.
then.
But it's,
Right, so if you go with a big group, then it would make sense to get that, right?
it would, but it's not.
And I mean,
good.
that's
Like,
kind of, I think, what they're going for.
it's a showstopper. I mean, you walk past with 2 trays of food, one with sandwich and one with, arugula and pizza sauce, but people were ordering it.
Probably just to be able to say that they did.
And
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
Nobody's ordering it for the taste.
Desi, we should be asking you, how many pictures on Instagram are there of the $100 sandwich?
I actually haven't seen any yet.
No, I guess that's not really an Instagrammable thing.
I guess
Anyway,
not.
all right. Thank you very much, Allie, for your report from Avengers Campus.
yeah, we'll see how Tuesday goes. Hopefully we get a boarding group. Otherwise, our day is just going to be in Cars Land,
Yep,
which would probably
for
be
sure.
okay. But
All right. So at this point, I am going to invite essentially anyone who's been on pressing issues in the past who wants to come on just to chat about whatever, since this is our last show. I'm also going to take questions from the chat. And we're just going to kind of chat. And I have a couple other rants up my sleeve that we'll talk about. We'll talk about as time goes on. Oh, I see bees in the chat.
Oh.
Of course, there's bees in the chat. All
I
right.
got a blood orange margarita earlier, but I didn't have my spork, so I didn't know
Yes.
how to eat it.
All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Spike the Bee because I know that's a popular thing, especially on this show. And we will be back after Spike the Bee, and hopefully at that point, one of the other panelists will have dialed in and we can chat. So here you go. By popular demand.
Oh, they're saying no sound. No sound.
All right, I'm being told there's no sound on Spike the Bee. I'm being told there's no sound on Spike the Bee, so we're going to start it over with sound this time. But I appreciate the fact that everyone was singing along on their own. Here we go. We'll try this one more time.
When I find myself at Flower and Garden, looking for some food to eat, I gotta get a spork with Spike the Bee. 58 pallets of unsold units standing right in front of me. Here for his 5th straight festival, Spike the Bee. Spike the Bee. Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee. Perfect for any food type, Spike the Bee. And while it's good for soup and chili, he's also perfect for poutine and Tupelo honey spoon bread, Spike the Bee. Plastic forks and spoons are wasteful, and they can't ever hope to be that versatile festival flat where Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, yeah, Spike the Bee. For blood orange margaritas, Spike the Bee.
How do you eat that with a spork?
Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, yeah, Spike the Bee. Disney hopes you'll finally purchase Spike the Bee.
Ta-da.
Your first Spike the Bee for tonight.
You know what I wish they had pallets of was the bamboo utensils.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
Tried to get some of those, and everywhere was
yep. So welcome, Rob.
pallets of was the bamboo utensils.
Cheers.
Ah,
Oh,
Tried to
yeah.
get some of those everywhere.
Rob's in.
So,
are you, Rob?
well, Rob, I'm in Seattle.
Bamboo utensils.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Rob's in. Getting a ton of audio feedback here. Hopefully that helps.
It wouldn't be.
Rob's in Seattle.
Absolutely. We're looking actually to move out here, so we're having a little house hunting trip up in Seattle.
Oh wow! You know there's no
nice.
Disney parks in Seattle, right?
Yeah, but it's a 2.5 hour flight from here to Disneyland.
That's true. That's true. I guess if you're going to take a flight, it doesn't much matter whether it's like an hour and a half or 2.5 hours, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, welcome, Rob. Thanks for coming on tonight. If there's anything you want to chat about, if you have any rants, whatever, I'm just going to kind of go with go with the flow here for the rest of the show. So I will say that all of these panelists from Pressing Issues are going to be invited to be on the new show. So you don't have to worry that you're never going to see your favorite panelists again. Rob will be back at some point.
This is it. This is the last time you see any of us.
Of course, the flip side of that is that you'll see the panelists that you really didn't want to see. Too.
Yeah.
You know, it goes both ways.
So Mike's Adventure in the chat said that I was sitting in Emperor Tom's chair.
Yes.
You are.
And Jason asked where I wanted to sit, and I said, well, if I get my choice of any seat, I want Tom's chair. So
Yep.
Nice.
Desi chose. She had the first pick, and she picked Tom's chair. So, and then Rich picked. Well, that's like Axel's chair.
Yeah. One of the studio chairs.
Yeah, Axel's chair or Pete's chair. I don't know which.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in Nick's chair because I'm running the show. But yeah, and Rob is sitting in some chair in Seattle. So you haven't been, I assume you haven't been to Disneyland for Avengers
No.
Campus. Are you excited to go?
I am. I'm very disappointed, and I hear a lot of people who've attended it. It isn't as exciting as they'd hoped it would be, but it's still a great new, land that's in Disneyland, and it's a great IP that I personally connect and grew up on. So I'm excited to see it. Again, I'm hearing it's not going to meet my expectations, but it'll still be a great addition to the park.
So, I guess let's think about what was the last attraction or land opening at any Disney park that was something not underwhelming, right? So here we have Avengers Campus, kind of underwhelming. Galaxy's Edge, kind of underwhelming. I mean, Rise is a good attraction, but the land overall is kind of underwhelming. There was a lot promised for that land that we didn't get.
But I think that when I first walked into Galaxy's Edge, just being there for the first time, because I went, I don't know if it was opening weekend or like the following weekend here in Florida, and there happened to be a hurricane coming through.
Yeah.
So it was actually not crowded when I went. And I thought it was great. It wasn't until like I visited a few times that I was like, okay, I wish that there was a little bit more. But I think that just the first time, so first experience walking in, I wasn't underwhelmed. But I think that Avengers Campus, from what I can tell, even people's first experience seems underwhelming.
I mean, I got to be honest. I was underwhelmed in Galaxy's Edge.
Even your first time?
Even the first, like, I mean, I like Star Wars. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan.
Maybe it's because I am.
But, you know, it doesn't, I think the problem with Galaxy's Edge is it doesn't feel like anything I recognize from the movies, right? And it wasn't supposed to, and it succeeded. Finally, where one thing succeeded in the design concept when we didn't want it to, was that it doesn't look anything like in the movies. So you don't get that connection instantly to Star Wars.
So you're saying if Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and Darth Vader had been there, you think it would have connected with the audience a bit better than the new IP?
Yeah, 100%. And I think also the most popular like photo spot in the whole land is the Millennium Falcon, because that's something people recognize from the movies.
And
There's
Kylo
nothing
Ren
else
ship.
there. What's that?
Kylo Ren ship, too.
Well, that's the new movies.
I'll tell you that my daughter had her graduation pictures taken in front of the Millennium Falcon.
Well, see, there you go. There you go.
Wow.
I would have had mine taken in front of Spaceship Earth, but that's just me.
I think that there is a bit of a difference. I think part of it is of the issue falls within Disney leadership, because with the big parks, especially Galaxy's Edge, they really made these big commitments, and what they delivered on, whether it was budget cuts or resource restraints, didn't meet or live up to the expectations that they set when they talked about the party, talked about it. So those who are passionate Disney fans, passionate Star Wars fans, had expectations that were up to here.
Sure.
And then the park was somewhere down here. And if they had set expectations, we may have been all excited. And if everything had opened on time together, like it should have, the experience probably would have been much different than what it ended up being.
And if the rides actually work.
Yeah, if you saw R2D2 walking around the parks, or there was more engagement, or you were a part of it, your experience on Smuggler's Run actually did end up being part of what you did during the park during the day, and someone from Olga's walked up and said, "Hey, great flying," or all those things that they committed to in terms of this amazing experience, they didn't deliver on any of it. So I think that's where the problem itself came.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's absolutely correct. And if you think, I was actually talking with Tom earlier today about this sort of thing with Avengers Campus, and if you think back, what was the last big land opening?
Pandora.
Bingo. Yep, Pandora.
Yeah, it was good.
The last big land opening that wasn't budget cut, and that was all inspiring to virtually anyone who went there. And also, didn't even matter whether you saw or liked the Avatar movies.
I didn't like the Avatar movies, but I love the land.
I haven't seen the Avatar movies.
There's
I
only
own them
one
at
so
home
far.
on Blu-ray, and I bought them so I could watch them and have some kind of perspective. But I haven't seen them, but I still like Pandora. Now, you got to tell me, if you don't like Star Wars, or if you've never seen Star Wars, what does Galaxy's Edge do for you? It doesn't do what Pandora does for you, right?
No.
And to a lesser extent, Toy Story Land, that doesn't really do much for anybody.
Except my son.
Yeah, but see,
Who's two.
the thing about Toy Story Land is that the original concept art looked really, really
did.
amazing.
It did.
But then they started erasing things.
Yep.
So our expectations were lowered and then lowered and then lowered.
They erased the
And
things.
I think they met our extremely low expectations. Whereas like we said in Galaxy's Edge,
Yes.
you're supposed to have all these roaming things and everything else. I will say the one disappointment in Pandora is that the ground doesn't react to your footsteps like we were promised. That's the one thing I missed.
I mean, it glows.
Yeah, big. So does my old '90s photo picture in my UV light in the bedroom. But
What I want to do is take a bunch of light sticks and cut them open and like spread it all around all over the place
Yeah.
on the ground, right?
So Pandora blood all over the ground. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yes. 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 All right. Any other words, Rob, before we invite someone else in to chat a little bit?
Nope. It was just a pleasure being on the show with all of you guys, and I look forward to the next chapter.
All right. Well, thanks very
see
much,
you next
Rob.
time.
We will see you.
Ta-ta for now.
And whoever's next, I asked the panelists to sort of organize themselves and someone pop in when another person leaves because I didn't have time to coordinate all of this today. So whoever wants to pop in next, please do so. I'm looking at the chat now.
What is your dream WDW 50th?
That's a great question. I mean, I think there are a couple things need to, and this is obviously, I wouldn't even say this is my dream because my dream is like way above this. But what would make me happy for the 50th? There's probably 4 or 5 things. Number one, nighttime parade in the Magic Kingdom.
Yes.
Obviously, I think fireworks are going to be back by the 50th, so we're going to have fireworks shows at the Magic Kingdom. We're going to have Fantasmic. We're going to have something at Epcot, whether it's Epcot Forever or Harmonious. I don't know which yet, but
My dream would be to get rid of that barge.
yeah, I mean, so I'm not even including those because I assume those are going to be in place by the 50th. But something that I don't expect to be in place by the 50th, but to make me happy would really need to be in place, is a nighttime parade at the Magic Kingdom. So that's number one. It's relatively easy to do because the parade already exists and they just have to load it onto a couple tractor trailers and drive it down here from California, paint the night. That's pretty simple. I think absolutely something they could do, minimal cost, doesn't require any additional development or anything, and would make me extremely happy. Honestly, that alone may make me happy enough for the 50th. I would like to see Tron open, and not necessarily for the sake of Tron, but I would like to see Tron open so that the railroad can reopen. I think it's a travesty that the railroad is not going to be open for the 50th anniversary. That's absolutely a travesty. Let me see. So that's Magic Kingdom. I think as far as other parks, I mean, Animal Kingdom needs a nighttime show. They have that huge river. If you saw the stream yesterday that Jill and I did from Animal Kingdom, we're walking by the Rivers of Light seating area, and it's like there's an enormous space that's just not being used. It looks so bad. I mean, it's such bad show to have that there and not even do anything. They could conceivably do a daytime show of some kind there to give people something to do in that theater and then have a different show at night. That'd be great. I didn't like Rivers of Light.
I didn't either.
There were parts of it that were cool. I think the light-up stained glass-looking animal floats were cool. I think the flowery thing with the fire at the end was cool, but that was it. The water projection, here's an example where water projection
Didn't work.
didn't work, right? They have technology. They've had water projection technology for like 25 years now, and it's worked pretty well. In the first iteration of Fantasmic, it was a little rough. It got better. World of Color, the water projection technology is amazing. And then they try to do Rivers of Light with water projection technology, and it's an absolute failure. Like, there's no excuse for that. But I would like to see something there. I don't even know what, and I realize a brand new show is going to take too long to be in time for the 50th. But whatever, something. They got to utilize that space somehow. I think Animal Kingdom is probably the park that's in the best shape, to be honest. Right? Like, everything that's there is pretty much operational. Festival, a celebration of Festival of the Lion King is back, and it's a decent show. Obviously, the tumble monkeys are missing, and the birds that fly on the ribbons are missing, which were really two of the most impressive parts of the show. But I'm glad the show's back, and hopefully those parts will return at some point. But having Festival of the Lion King back is a huge deal for Animal Kingdom. It really sort of brings that park back into almost pre-pandemic status.
I was talking with some friends who are usually Disneylanders, but they're here today this week to go to the Disney World parks because they weren't sure when Disneyland was going to open, and they were asking, well, what's the best, what's the best food, what's the best ride? And I was like, you got to go to Animal Kingdom for all that. The best, quick service is going to be Satuli. The best show is going to be Festival of the Lion King. The best ride is probably going to be Flight of Passage. So Animal Kingdom's definitely in the best shape. The best bar, Nomad.
So the best ride is Flight of Passage. It's not Rise of the Resistance.
Only because they couldn't get Hollywood Studios reservation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that park isn't. Obviously, if there was one thing I could add to Animal Kingdom, it would be a Primeval Whirl replacement.
Oh, yes.
Primeval Whirl was one of my favorite rides in Animal Kingdom. And then, so that's that. Studios is a mess. I mean, I don't even know what you could do. I don't even know what you could do to Studios at this point. I think it's like beyond. It's beyond help.
Put something in the theaters.
So if I had
something with the shows,
my dream, I would move the Spectacle of Lights to Disney Springs. I think that they could do that there and make it like a walkthrough instead of the Christmas tree trail.
I think the problem is that Disney Springs is already so mobbed at Christmas time.
That's probably true.
It wouldn't be logistically possible. It would just draw too many people. Speaking of that, I still don't know why no one else is coming. I know Coach wanted to call in. I don't know who else wanted to call in. I don't know why they're not calling in. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for someone else to join us, I'm going to go on another rant. Because you had to bring up Disney Springs. I have avoided Disney Springs as much as humanly possible for the last year.
Me too.
And there's one reason why. The parking situation. The parking garages.
Are you not an Orange fan?
I am not a fan of a horrendously designed parking garage. So for
the garage is fine, in and out.
Right. Well, I mean,
another
to
story.
me, that's all part and parcel. So for the longest time after Springs reopened last year, you couldn't get into the Orange Garage on the third floor from the I-4 ramp. That was an absurdity, and I know I ranted about that on this show back when it happened. Since then, it's somewhat better, but here's the problem. It's pretty easy to get into the Orange Garage. It's pretty complicated to get out of the Orange Garage. And the biggest problem when Springs is crowded is that you exit the orange garage onto Buena Vista Drive westbound. But when Springs is crowded and they're using the surface lots all the way on the west side, the entrance to those surface lots is exactly the same spot where you have to exit the orange garage. And 90+% of people exiting the orange garage want to go west on Buena Vista Drive to somewhere else on Disney property because going east doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, it gets you to Crossroads. So if you want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, you go east. But otherwise, you're going to go west on. So the last terribly bad experience I had around Christmas was the orange garage exit was backed up like completely into the garage because you couldn't get out because so many people were trying to get into the surface parking lots. And it was just the worst designed exit of a parking garage I've ever seen. So that's number one.
So go down to the first floor, take the other exit westbound on Buena Vista, and you're fine because you're already there's a light. So
but at that point, the traffic is backed up beyond there to turn into surface parking, right?
That is true.
So
go to Grapefruit.
Well, you could if Grapefruit was open. It wasn't open.
Well, right.
So that's like the entrance and exits to the orange garage. Other than entering the third floor from the I-4 off-ramp, which is amazing and fantastic, and I love it, everything else about entering and exiting the orange garage is terrible.
So how about entering the Lime garage, which you can only do from one direction?
That's even worse. Entering the Lime garage is even worse.
I'm still
because you can only enter the Lime garage from traveling westbound on Buena Vista Drive, but the only way you'd be traveling westbound on Buena Vista Drive is if you're driving there from Saratoga Springs, right? Like driving to Springs from either Saratoga Springs or Old Key West, you're going to be coming that direction. Or if you're coming from Crossroads down Hotel Plaza Boulevard and entering Springs, you're going to get to the proper entrance to the green garage, Lime garage. Anywhere else on Disney property you're coming from, you can't get to the Lime garage without making a U-turn. What kind of design is that? That's absurd. You purposely designed into the layout of the roads forcing people to make a U-turn. That's absurd. I'm sorry, but that's the worst design I've ever seen. Now, getting into the Lime garage isn't so bad, and getting out of the Lime garage actually isn't so bad.
Because there's a light.
Because there's a light, right?
You're not just merging.
But having to make a U-turn to get to the Lime garage from anywhere, almost anywhere on Disney property is absurd. Absolutely absurd. And to top it all off, when you enter either garage, I think, from ground level, the first level, you have to like go up and down rows of parking. Like in order to get to the second level of the garage, you can't like enter the garage and go right up to the second level. That would make some kind of sense, right? Like you can enter the garage and then you say, all right, I'm going to go to the second level because the first level's full. That would be great. No, you have to drive like halfway down and then turn down one of the aisles of parked cars to get to the ramp to the second level. Who came up with that idea? That's ridiculous. Like, Orange was perfectly designed to get into from the ramp from I-4 or from eastbound Buena Vista Drive, because you go up and then you go over the bridge the same way and you come in on the third level. That was genius. Everything else about the Orange Garage and everything about the Lime Garage, other than that...
The placement of the Lime Garage is better, because it gets me closer to the things I want.
Well, I mean, that's why there's more than one garage. I think it's great that there's more than one garage. I wish there'd be another garage further down, you know, that you could get to, like, House of Blues really quickly and easily, because no one else would park in that garage except if you're going to House of Blues. You could park in the surface lots, but the problem is they're not open half the time. And so, you know, you got an easy way to get to House of Blues, but it's closed, and you're forced to park in the Orange Garage. So that's the other thing is they've designed a choice of parking where you've got lime, you've got orange, you've got grapefruit, and you've got surface parking.
Strawberry, right? Isn't that the strawberry?
Is it whatever it is? I don't know. I'm going to call it like kumquat because you have to stick with the citrus, right?
David Lung says, let's talk about grapefruit.
It's never been. I've never been in there. It's never open, right? So they've designed this so that you can have a choice of parking to be able to access whatever your destination is. You can choose the parking area that's going to give you the best access to your destination. Well, that's great, but then half of them aren't open. And for the longest time, lime wasn't open, or orange wasn't open either.
Lime wasn't open for the majority of the pandemic.
Yeah, so like, you have a choice, but you don't have a choice. And then
Springs has been way too crowded, at least for me, during the pandemic, before I got vaccinated. I did not feel comfortable at Springs at all.
No, Springs has always been way too crowded from the minute it opened, because it opened before anything else on Walt Disney World property opened.
It's subsided a little bit. I mean, we've been going in the morning to early afternoon just to avoid the crowds, and it has been noticeably quieter.
Probably because they've upped capacity at the parks, because what
Yeah, so
people
now
were
people
doing,
can- right.
like if they couldn't get a reservation at a park, they were going to Springs.
Or if, like us, you don't have an AP anymore and you buy a couple days of tickets, what are you going to do the other days?
Mm-hmm.
I will also, this is a different rant. I kind of wasn't even done my Springs rant.
Could we go back to the 50th wishes just for a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I want Epcot to be done.
I mean, I want
Epcot
Epcot to,
it was promised.
I
the
want
50th.
Well, that's out the window altogether
I know,
because
but
they've
that would be-
demolished.
but we're wishing. Let's say
They've
that's my wish.
demolished Communicore West, and we're going to get nothing for it.
Right. It seems that way. We're going to
Right?
get a fountain or something.
Yeah.
The way
No, we're
things
going
are
to get the Journey of Water,
a
which
fountain.
last time I thought about the water journey, there's a river and it flows.
Yep.
I mean, that's like, okay.
The thing I love most about rivers is you can't step in the same river twice. The water is always changing.
That's
always
not
flowing.
what Moana says. This is the
Oh,
Moana
wrong
journey of
princess.
water, not the Pocahontas journey of water. Right? That's different. They're going to budget cut the Moana journey of water and turn it into the Pocahontas journey of water, which is literally just going to be a river. That's all you're going to get.
Well,
and it's going to have a bend in it. Right? It's going to be a fancy river with a river bend. That's what you'll get. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even get to Epcot because Epcot, in my mind, is so far. Epcot is further past the point of no return than Studios is, I think, honestly. Like, we were at Epcot today. We didn't ride anything, right?
No.
We didn't ride anything. The park
Slow.
wasn't very crowded, except for Frozen. So the only thing people want to do at Epcot, apparently, is Frozen. At least in the afternoon, because they spend all morning in line for Test Track. So people go to Epcot, they spend all morning in line for Test Track, they spend all afternoon in line for Frozen. Right? They've got all the food booths. This is a totally different rant. You've got all these food booths.
a rant
No
and
one's
stick with
going to the food booth. Right? Today is a Sunday in June. Sunday afternoon in June, nice day. There's hardly anyone in line at any of the food booths at Epcot. Why is that? Because people are tired of it. You've had festivals ongoing continuously since
July.
the park
Last
opened
year.
last year, right? Like you've had the park opened with a festival, and you've had a festival every day since. There hasn't really been I guess after Festival of the Arts ended,
There was
there
like
was-
a week.
there
or
was a
2
bit of a
weeks.
break, right?
Yeah.
People are getting festival fatigue. There's nothing that makes the festivals special anymore because it's there every day. Right? Now what makes the festival special is like, hey, this new booth is open when it hasn't been open for months. That's all.
So
We have
going-
Spencer.
So going back to the
Hello.
earlier rant, it's the same ride system over and over again in each of
Yeah,
the movies
right?
that people are tired of, and
People
they
are
don't wanna
just
do it
bored of the
anymore.
festivals. That or they're tired of spending $6 to $8 for like 3 bites of food. I don't know. Spencer, welcome.
Hi, I've never been to an Epcot festival before, and I don't plan on starting anytime soon.
Excellent. And thank you for doing your hair today.
Oh, you're welcome. Isn't it glorious?
The chat thinks
At
it's
least,
glorious.
hey, at least, this is going to be mean, but at least I have hair to do, gentlemen.
Sorry, Spencer, we're having technical difficulties. We can't see you right now.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Hello.
Just wait, Spencer. Just wait.
Spencer, do you have anything to rant about that's not Japan?
Oh, well, if not Japan, then probably not.
Because no one's going to feel bad for you when you rant about Japan.
Well, I mean, we still don't have annual passes. That's something to rant about,
Neither
to
does
feel bad for me
California.
for.
Neither does Florida.
You
Can't
don't have
feel
annual
bad for you.
passes?
Florida has passes.
Well, only if you renew. I can't get a new one.
You can't buy them. You couldn't get one.
Details.
Let me go on this miniature rant. My wife and kids are coming
Are
down
we
next
cramming,
Sunday.
like, however long a break this is going to be, like, what, 3 to 6 months worth of rants into one episode?
That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to make up. My wife and kids are coming down next Sunday for 10 days. We're not going to Disney World. I told the kids.
You're not going to Disney World.
They want to go. The kids want to go to Disney World. Well, for the longest time, they wanted to go to Universal. So then we got Universal annual passes when we couldn't get Disney annual passes. And we still can't get Disney annual passes. So the kids want to go to Disney World. And I told them I'm not taking them to Disney World till I can get them an annual pass. And so they're coming down next Sunday. We're going to spend 3 days at SeaWorld because SeaWorld sells annual passes. We're going to spend 3 days at Vero Beach because you don't need an annual pass to go to the beach. And then we're going to spend 3 days at Universal and Volcano Bay because we have annual passes. So I'm not willing to spend the cost of an annual pass to get 6 days worth of park tickets and then have to do it again in a couple of months. Not willing to do that. So
That makes sense, actually.
because you're coming in August and you got to buy park tickets, right?
It's in discussion, but I've been like preparing for the possibility. And actually, I do have something to rant about for Florida. My Disney experience sucks. I tried to make a dining reservation the other day. I want to have, if I come to Florida, I want to have breakfast at Topolino's Terrace because everyone keeps telling me how great it is.
Breakfast there
And
sucks.
It does.
Everyone told me that's like the thing to do right now is to go eat breakfast at Topolino's Terrace.
Dinner's better. There's no characters, but dinner's a better meal there. Well, you're not eating there anyway because of my Disney experience. But you act like this is something new. Spencer, you could have had this rant 10 years ago.
I have, the last time I came to Disney World was 6 years ago. I never had to deal with this stuff because other people always planned it for us.
Yep.
I was on my Disney experience. I got on at exactly 5:45 Eastern, and my app threw an error. So I'm like, okay, I kept refreshing, and it didn't work until the clock turned to 6 o'clock and 1 second, and then like, oh, now there's reservations. Okay. Thank you, Disney World website, for lying to me. Point number 1. Number 2, I get on, and then I'm told by someone on our Slack channel that I'm supposed to use the website, not the My Disney Experience app, to make dining reservations, because apparently that makes sense. And this also goes hand in hand with the struggle of trying to get park passes, because you can't do that in the app. You have to do that on the website, and when you try to do it in the app, it directs you to the website, even though they could build it into the app. And there's, as much as I have ranted over and over again about how much of a pain it is to get Tokyo Disney tickets and reservations and how incompetent OLC's IT department is, I think it's just a universality with Disney parks around the world, no matter who owns them, is that they all have bad computer systems, and I need them to stop doing that very, very much now. Because I just want to eat my breakfast with characters and buy tickets to a theme park.
Yeah, they make it about as hard as possible.
That's my rant. It shouldn't take like some annual pass holder in our Slack channel telling me that I need to go on the website and not use the app to make reservations to figure out how to make a reservation.
I mean, you should use the app as little as possible. And I think that's something that all of us
Now
have
I know
been
that.
saying. Then you need to watch our shows more, because we've been complaining about the app for years now.
I can't believe I can't make a
Well, you
reservation
see,
on the app for like
the logic goes both ways.
no, a theme park reservation. It always boots me to the
Yeah,
website.
you can't.
That's crazy.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
what I just
possible
said.
with the app.
Not just dining, but like the theme park reservation I can't make. I'm like,
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
That's what I said about Park Pass, is that it boots me
Oh.
to Safari when I try to use the
Yeah.
app.
No, it does. That's the design behavior, because you actually can't make a park pass in the app.
That's bananas.
But they're also saying that the Park Pass system is here to stay, which means they should build it into the app. It just... ugh. Uh-oh. Oh, Lord.
What?
Someone is sending me a thing. Maybe we have news that I'll have to go and write. I don't know.
Someone is sending Spencer a
Oh,
thing.
yes.
Well, you
There's
had your
news.
rant.
I have to go.
All right, you had your rant. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me on the show so much, but less recently.
Yep. Well, just wait till next month.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Spencer. All right, I think Coach is trying to get on. Coach can come on in whenever. Let me just add a little bit to Spencer's rant, since he was abruptly cut off from his rant. I'll try and finish it for him. I'm trying to make park passes for me and my sister. I have an annual pass. My sister has an annual pass. We get an error message.
He was abruptly cut off from his rant.
Ryan, you got to turn your speaker off there.
I'm trying to make park
I think you're
passes
echoing
for my sister.
terribly.
I have an annual pass.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
I just wanted an echo of a rant in my head from you. That's how much I like.
There we go. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I can
I'll
sing
make
an
I'll
MP
make it up to you. Though.
like the bee.
So here's my rant. And I want to do this because I want to do it in honor of WDWNT, right? This is my rant. My rant is other Disney bloggers. I got into WDWNT just because of the fact that Tom, you, Rich, anybody that I saw on the channel, any show that I saw, there was a genuineness about what you guys were talking about. There was a passion, right? And that's what drew me into it. And everyone says, oh, it's negative, whatever, blah, blah. But the truth is, you're holding them accountable, and you're not selling out. And I think that's so important, because anybody that ever comes on any kind of chat or anything like that always says the same thing, like, wow, they're not just, kowtowing and trying to do all those things, and I'm getting so excited, I'm moving my hands right now. It's just one of those things where I appreciate the fact that your rants and you're honest, you're holding them accountable. And as somebody who didn't get to go in the glory days back in the day, I think it's pretty cool to have that insight. The timekeeping series has been awesome. And I feel like you can't fake that genuineness. You can't fake that passion. As a college coach, I can teach my players to do a lot of different things. But what I can't teach them is to have sustained passion for what they do. They either love to play baseball or they don't. I can get them to fake it for a while, but after a while, they're getting up at 6 a.m. to lift and doing those different types of things. That goes away. And I think that's a testament to what Tom's been able to build, what you've been able to build. The people that are on are passionate. We don't always agree, obviously, but I think it's one of those things that makes everything special. And the constant fact that we're evolving all the time, I say we, I guess I can say that. I became a fan of this channel from this show, and I think it's awesome. I think the fact that we hold each other accountable, we all have different types of viewpoints, is really cool. But at the same time, you have a show like Ink and Paint. It's amazing. If you haven't watched that, watch that. It's incredible.
Yes, you should.
And it's a perspective that I don't have, right?
And that's the whole point. You get different viewpoints on things, and you think about things in ways you've never thought before, and it makes you better because of that. And that's my rant. I just feel like there's so many people that are just selling out and just talking about how great the cupcakes are and all this other nonsense. And it's just like, it's not, right? It's not, they're not going to improve or get better unless there's somebody that has the courage and the guts to stand up and say, you know what, you're screwing over the cast members. So we're going to fundraise t-shirts and blatantly call out what you're doing is wrong. That's pretty cool. You know, and I think Tom gets a lot of heat for that, and even you, Jason, know depressing issues and all that. But the reality is, we're talking about it, and we've seen what happens. Get criticized for it, and then 6 months later, what happens? Press release comes out and saying what was reported on the website 6 months prior, as well. It's just rumor and conjecture. Well, Tom has scruples now, so that's my rant. I just want to say thanks, Jason. I think you're very eloquent about the way you do things, and I think it's awesome. I think people don't realize that you are legitimately brilliant. Rich is another guy, brilliant, absolutely awesome. Desi, I love you guys, and I just thank you guys for having me be a part of that family. I think you guys are awesome. You're freaking hysterical. I laugh out loud. Half the time my wife yells at me for being loud because the kids are asleep. But I think it's like anything else. I mean, I'm going to be down in July. I can't wait to see the new studio. I think it's going to be awesome. I know you guys are killing yourselves working on it. I'm going to be there on 2 Thursdays, so I'm going to self-promote that I want to be in the studio doing whatever I have to do. If it's sweeping the floor, I don't care. Taking the trash out, I want to be a part of it. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what the new rendition of this show is going to look like, because I know it's going to be awesome. And, you know, between Rob and you, both you guys kill me, so I'll probably be a bad panelist because I'll just laugh the entire time, but I'm just excited about it. I'm just really grateful to be a part of this weird, awesome family that we've kind of built together, and just not really a rant, but it's really like everyone else is terrible and we're awesome. That's my rant.
It's a positive rant, so it's a good
yeah,
rant.
I was trying to keep it
Thank
positive.
you. This is our 15 minutes of positivity, just not right at the end.
Positive issues.
But thank you very much, Brian.
I love it. I love it. I
means
can't
a
wait
lot.
for our stuff. It's going to be awesome. You guys are absolutely amazing. Desi, you're incredible. I mean, it's just awesome. I love it. I just love it.
We'll definitely save a pile of trash for you in the new studio, so that you have
no
something
job
to do.
No job too small. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So I appreciate it.
Your rant reminded me of something that Tom said today. When we're talking about what land was the last land that opened that actually wowed people. And Tom said today, now, people might take offense at this. I don't really care. Tom's like, we're in the era of the idiot. There are so many people that come to Disney that just take it like it's the best thing ever, and they don't know any better because no one out there is telling them how it used to be. And they're not smart enough to go figure out how it used to be. And so they're taking what they get, and they like it, and they talk about it like it's the greatest thing ever. And that's our biggest battle. Our biggest battle is to teach these people that things could be better. Right? This isn't the best it's ever been. It's not even close to the best it's ever been. And our battle, what we fight for, why we're here, is exactly like you said, to hold Disney to a higher standard, because we know they're capable of it. And what we're fighting against is all these people that are coming that haven't been here before, so they don't know how good it could be.
I think even people who haven't been here before, if they look across the lagoon at Epcot, they aren't going to say, this looks great.
Well, so that's a different problem, right? That's a different problem, and that's that problem which Tom and I also discussed today while we were in the Wilderness Lodge pool for 3 hours, was that the Disney company doesn't know how to, they don't know how they make money. They don't know what's the best way to make money. And so what happens is the mindset of the Disney company right now is that they would rather have you come with your family for a week and spend $10,000. And that's better than if you came 5 times over the next 10 years and spent $2,000 each time. And the problem is that that's very short-sighted, obviously, and the Walt Disney Company has mastered the art of acting short-sighted. But the problem is that when you do that, you don't cultivate a fandom. You don't cultivate an obsession like we have. These people come and it's just another vacation. It's like if you go on vacation to Jamaica, right? It's cool, you had a good time. You're not likely to go back to Jamaica on vacation next year. You're very likely to go somewhere else, right? And the reason that we're all here and the reason that we're obsessed with Disney and the reason that we come back again and again and again is because it's more than just a vacation to Jamaica, right? We get more out of it every time we come than a random vacation to somewhere. And so when Disney is doing things that don't cultivate that obsession in people, even if they spend less each time they come, the fact that they're going to come back again and again and again, that's playing the long game. That's how Disney operated until honestly until like the year 2000 or so, right? They were playing the long game. They knew what makes people come back. They knew that you have to spend money to make money. And they have forgotten that.
So, right. So 3 things, right? See if I can get through them all. Number 1, the current corporate leadership treats the entertainment experience as a commodity. I think because that's their experience. You know, food, merchandise, everything's a commodity. And like you just said, it doesn't really matter. You know, you come, you buy it, you enjoy it, and then you go on your merry way and you're done. Number 2, I mean, the concept of Disney, going back even to the original animation that started the whole thing, and Disneyland, and is the mythical nostalgic utopia, right? Main Street USA never existed, but it existed in Disneyland because it represented what we would like to remember or think about back then. You know, Future World was the 50s looking to the 80s, and well, they kind of lost that, but it's always been about that mythical utopia that was back then and will be sometime in the future, whereas that's gone now because the way you build the mythical utopia is you get the parents to transmit it to the kids who get transmitted to their kids, and they say, I remember coming with my grandpa and we did this, and now you can come with your kids and I'll be the and it just keeps, like you said, a rolling thing. Instead of that single instance where you go to Club Med and you're done and then you go to somewhere else the next year. I think we used to go to Maine every year, to a little cabin on a lake in Maine. And we loved it and we miss it because we knew the place, but every time we went, we remember a couple of years ago when we were canoeing and we found that thing and the thing happened, and then, we had that to build on every single time. And that's why we went. And the third thing is something Coach said, since I used to be a teacher, teaching triggers me whenever we talk about it. And I'm not sure that they're idiots because that judges people by their apparent mental capacity, and everyone has that. I think they're ignorant of what it could be because of the first 2 points that I just made. But as a teacher, the reason we're here is to teach. I mean, to prevent or to reduce or mitigate that ignorance. Because if I have a student who is struggling, I will be probably extra hard because I'll take him to office hours, whether he signs up or not. I'll give him extra work, and I will force them to do the best that they can do so that, number one, they become whatever it is we're teaching, but they can also go on to the next course and not be totally floundering and losing it. So it's not that we're negative. We are, because sometimes negative reinforcement works. Sometimes positive reinforcement works, and sometimes you just have to tell you got this wrong. It's not like I feel for you because I love my students, but you are wrong, and so you have to make it right in order to do what it is you need to do. So I mean that's why I'm here anyway. To educate, to reduce the ignorance.
Right, you're right. You're
so
right.
Those are my three things.
And I think, building on that, I think all of these bloggers and vloggers out there that are on the media list that say all the right things and are always happy and positive, they're honestly doing the company and the rest of us fans a tremendous disservice. We're negative because we want Disney to do better.
And we aren't negative about everything.
We're not negative about everything. No.
Only when they deserve
we know they could do better, right? No one's been...
The sad part is they do more and more that is worthy of being negative as opposed to less and less that is worthy of being negative.
I mean, no one on any of these shows for the past 5 years have really ever said anything negative about Pandora, except for Rich, who said the ground isn't squishy.
That was disappointing. Because that would have been a cool engineering feat.
And I mean, the only negativity we had about Pandora, which turned into be a big joke, was that it was tremendously late. But no one's ever said anything negative about Pandora as a land or the experiences. I mean, I don't like Navi River Journey, but still, that's minuscule compared to everything else.
It's a nice ride.
Yeah.
But not one worth
when
more than 10 minutes.
When the shaman isn't working and you've got the screen.
Then that's worse.
That's worse.
But that's a whole different rant about things not working.
Because they don't have time and money to construct them in such a way so that operations can keep them working. But that's another thing.
That's another whole thing, too. But no, Pandora's great because they spent the money, right? We are disappointed when we know Disney could do better, and they choose to do it cheap, and that ends up being a worse product. Like Disney knowingly puts out a cheap product because they can get away with it, right? And so it's kind of like I don't know, televisions, right? Like in the 70s, you bought a television and it lasted for 20 years. Nowadays, televisions don't last 5 years.
Because they want you to buy another one.
Because they want you to buy another one, right? Because they make more money that way. Well, Disney thinks it's the other way around, where they get money from you once, and as long as it's enough, they're happy. This doesn't really make sense in my mind.
I think you might have been turned one too many corners in
yeah. No, but all right, the television analogy is not working.
But Jason, to your point, right? It took a long time for us to grow our audience, our YouTube audience. But I would argue, if you put up DFB's, whatever you want to call that, audience against ours, they're fly-by-night people.
Yeah.
The people that are involved in our community are hardcore. They know, because to Rich's point, we've educated them about what they should be expecting. And when you're talking about customer acquisition and the cost of that, to your point, they've lost that. But it's our job, to Rich's point, to educate people, because you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know about the history of the parks. Timekeeping, I've literally watched every episode like 10 times because I don't know any of that history. I got to Disney late in my life. So I didn't know. My wife told me. She gave me the real deal. Hey, this should be better. And turned me on to pressing issues to begin with. And she's like, listen to this guy. He's hilarious and he's awesome. And then she made me a shirt, which I think hopefully got me on the show. But it was one of those things where, like, now you appreciate it more because you don't understand what you're looking at. And I think if anything, the fact that the company is moving and shaking and trying to change things and getting larger, like, can you imagine the set of whatever you want to call them, choose your word, to be in an area where you're surrounded by other Disney people, other companies that work for Disney, and you're like right in the middle. You're not hiding. You're like, hey, guess what we're going to do? We're going to shine this giant spotlight on what you guys need to be doing. Because there is going to be, that pendulum is going to swing back. It has to. Because eventually they're going to get to a point where people are going to go, okay, I'm going to go to Bermuda. I'm going to do other stuff. And I think that's honestly going to be the result of Universal stepping up. And I honestly think when they start that gate, I think all of a sudden you're going to see it swing, because this whole streaming stuff, to me, I've noticed now that people are able to get outside, the numbers are down in terms of what people are watching, because now they can get outside. Now they're not stuck in their house anymore. So now they're going to want to go do things. And when they go and they haven't gone for a while, like your point, Rich's point, Den's point, everybody's point, they're going to go, wait a minute. You made Disney out to be this great thing, and now it's not. Now your family comes down to Orlando, like yours, and doesn't go to Disney.
And
Can you imagine if the last time you came to Disney World, that Main Street Electrical Parade was still here, Fantasmic was still running, that Illuminations was running, that you could go to Club Cool, that there weren't construction walls everywhere, that you could see across World Showcase Lagoon. Imagine all of that, and that, so you were here 10, 15 years ago. Imagine you come now. How can you be anything but upset, annoyed, disappointed with the product that they're giving you today? And then you look at how much it cost 15 years ago, and even when you factor in inflation, even if you would factor in inflation that was 50% higher than normal, whatever the inflation index would be, and then you look at what they're charging you now, how can you possibly think this is a good value for your money today? Like, if you can honestly say that you think it's still a good value for your money compared to 10 or 15 years ago, you probably shouldn't be watching this show, honestly. But I just don't see how that's even possible. That it's a tremendously worse product for more money, and there's only so much that people are willing to put up with before they feel like they're getting ripped off.
I told you a story earlier. I had friends that bought 4-day passes, came for 2 days, and decided we don't need to come the other 2 days. We're just going to give up on the passes because they didn't have a good experience.
So those people actually spent money.
Yep.
And they had such a bad experience that instead of wasting 2 days of their vacation having more bad
they live
experiences,
here. They could come anytime they want. They just chose not to use the other
They chose
Tuesday.
not to come.
Yep.
These people had tickets to Disney World already paid for. It was already a sunken cost.
Yep.
And they said, it's not worth it.
Correct.
Because this place is such a disaster.
Yes.
It's such a mess.
Well, to be fair, they went to Hollywood Studios. They didn't know about the boarding group thing, and they ate at Pizza Rizzo's.
Ignorant.
So
Yeah, right? But I mean,
your friends aren't
I'm
idiots.
gonna jump off and let somebody else
All
on.
right.
But Jason,
Thanks,
I love
Brian.
you. DJ, I love you. Rich, you're the best.
guys.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
We'll see you at
Yeah,
Hershey
I'm
Park.
happy to do the garbage. Happy to do the garbage. Whatever you need.
All right.
And to hold the gimbal always. Thanks,
All
guys.
righty.
I mean,
yeah, I think
this trip, just while you're getting the next person on, and this is a longer trip for us. We'll be here a month and a few days. We went to Busch Gardens. Now, Busch Gardens is a somewhat tired park, let's say, but it has huge nostalgia for us because when our kids were little, and we visited family every summer coming down, we would often, because they're nearer Tampa, we would often go to Busch Gardens. And I mean, it was a lot less expensive. Even the safari, you know, where you have just 5 people and you have the special experience, was 1/3 the cost of what it was at Disney. It was very cool. And I mean, yeah, it's not quite as neat, not quite as well maintained, but not 1/3 as well maintained, approximately, compared to what you pay for a day at Disney.
Right, right.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, several years ago, when we looked at the DVC thing, and I made 50,000 spreadsheets and decided it wasn't for us, I wrote one of what I hope was an eloquent rant to DVC about you keep harping on the premium experience, and yet in our boardwalk villa, I expect a premium villa to not have loose door handles. A minor thing, but that's not premium. I expect there to be wallpaper that is continually matched all the way down the hall, because I notice these things. I don't expect the pattern to have a hiccup in it. I expect the chair rails to be uniformly straight all the way around the room. That is a premium experience, and we did not find that. So that was one of the contributing
Wow.
factors to not doing DVC.
Yeah.
But Disney keeps selling itself. Iger said this many times, that it's a premium experience. That's not true. You
It's
can
not.
pay a premium for a more premium experience, like a VIP tour,
It used to be true.
but it used to be true. People used to say, well, you go to a concert and you spend this much for 3 hours of really high, hopefully high quality entertainment, and you extrapolate that out to 12 hours, and wow, Disney's a deal. I don't know if you can do that anymore. If we had concerts. You know.
And I know this is something that I've said before. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, everybody.
I know this is something I said before, and that's the comparison to Disney Cruise Line. Disney Cruise Line is way more expensive than other cruise lines, but you absolutely get a premium experience for your money.
So it's a good value because the experience is worth the premium cost.
That's
because
right.
The experience is level.
So
with
it's
the
clear
cost.
that the Walt Disney Company knows that. They just choose to ignore it as far as the parks go. But the cruise
So,
line
Rich,
knows
you make a
it.
great point. You make a great point, and I think that earlier on in the chat, they were asking us to do a boo bashing for a little bit, if we will. So I am planning on going. I will put that out there. Number one, that is one of the first things I am planning on doing on our next trip in September. So I'm part of the problem, I guess, in that sense. But
So we're all
I
the
do
other
like the after.
bloggers.
Right. So I do like the after hours because it did at least reduce capacity back when pre-pandemic everything was just way overcrowded. But I will give a shout out to Penguin Project because I would like to say his question originally about the 50th, no holds barred. If we could do whatever we wanted, I would like to just quickly say what I would want to do. I wouldn't do a boo bash. I would just do a 24-hour celebration, at least the night of the 1st, October 1st, and have it open for 24 hours like a grad night kind of thing. And have all the characters from way back when they originally, even the costuming, you could do a costuming section where it was the original Mickey, and then,
Winnie
you know,
the
he
Pooh
comes
with
out. Yes, the little
the
honey
honey
pot thing. Yeah. And then you could throw in some Halloween parties like they typically would do, maybe not, you know, not the trick-or-treating or whatever. But Jason's point was great about bringing back the nighttime parades because that is really what sets Disney apart from any other, you know, park across the country. And even if you wanted to do the cavalcades, I'd one up you. Instead of having just the Electrical Main Street, you could do Electrical Main Street cavalcade. You could do a Spectrum Magic cavalcade. You could do a special 50th, Walt Disney World 50th cavalcade. And you could do that periodically throughout the night, throughout the 24-hour period too. And I'd hire back all the entertainment and then some, and I would have characters throughout the park, social distance or not. I would have them throughout the park to where you could interact with them at least from a distance, and kind of like Disneyland's doing now, and you could take pictures. And I would definitely have, you know, better food options and things like this. But Also, if no holds barred, I would open up Guardians of the Galaxy. I would open up Tron. I would open up all the new rides. I would bring back the Great Movie Ride and move Mickey's, kick it out to the back lot. I would just completely get rid of that area and put Great Movie Ride back. And while we're at it, why don't we go to Epcot and why don't we bring back Horizons and World of Motion? Let's put all those back in there too. Let's just do a grand 50th from the beginning, You know
what would be easier than that? Is to build a time machine and go back to 1986. I think it would be easier.
It could be.
I like all of your ideas, Stephanie, except for the 50-hour thing at the Magic Kingdom, because then I spent all that money on a hotel room for the night of September 30th, and I'm not going to use it.
You could. I mean, you could go back to your hotel, sleep,
That's
and then
true.
come
Sleep
back,
for a couple hours and then head back. That's true. That's almost what you'd have to do. That's almost what you'd have to do.
I love those ideas.
They're all great ideas. Spoken like a true Epcot fanboy. Fangirl
That's
in
right.
this case.
Got my Epcot shirt on today.
There you go.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much. This has been so much fun to be a panelist on this show, and I'm looking forward to the new format and the new show as well. And yes, Desi and I, shout out to Ink and Paint and Jill and Ashley and everybody. I think you can catch us over there as well. And I know that we have a couple of more waiting in the wings, so I'm going to say goodbye and thanks again.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yep, we will see you soon. There was another rant I had in mind. It was just building on something that I think you said, Rich, or Stephanie said. I can't remember now. But I mean, we're getting super close to 10 o'clock anyway, so there's not a lot of time for me to rant some more. There's Emma!
Yay!
Hi!
Hello, Emma. You look like you were in some kind of, I don't know, stage performance or something.
Something. I mean, this is what happens when I have to work fitness in the morning and I don't feel like washing my hair. This is just how it is. Anyway, so.
Oh, so it's
here we are.
You're not dressed up like you're in some stage performance. That's just you.
Yes, this is just, standard. Anyway, so I wanted to rant about entertainment a little bit, and it's more of just like a hope, really. As we see more people coming back to the parks, let's get Happily Ever After back. I mean, we know we have rumors of that coming back anyway, but let's actually make that a thing. Let's make it happen before the 50th, because that would be really nice to have during the summer. Let's get Harmonious, again, we don't know how good it's going to be, but let's get Harmonious up on its feet. Let's bring back parades, because heck, we still don't have a parade in Magic Kingdom. And what's worrying me right now a little bit is that we see the Halloween cavalcades that they were using during August through October last year. They're putting those in that Boo Bash event, or I guess you could say Not So Scary Light, if you want to call it that.
A celebration of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
A taste of Boo.
To taste.
There you go.
But anyway, so I'm afraid that we're not going to have a full parade still in Magic Kingdom during the day because, we're using those entertainment people for the evening stuff. So I just really hope that Disney, now that they're starting to make money again, especially on both coasts, that they really do make an effort to bring back entertainers, because it's good. Like, again, I'm very blessed and lucky to be in a show right now, but I know there's still a lot of my friends who are not, and there are a lot of entertainers and actors who are out of work. So and as a big company, I just hope that they can, even though they're thinking about the numbers and thinking a little short term, that they can bring back their people as soon as possible. But anyway, and that's my mini rant. But anyway, I just, thank you guys for being this community that you are. I kind of explained in the thing that I send into Jill for Ink and Paint on Thursday, how much this community means to me. It really does. You guys got me through quarantine. And, I love being here. I am very thankful to be on the show. And yes, to you too, Desi. And Ink and Paint, check it out. Again, we're not really going away, y'all. We're just kind of merging a little bit and things are changing. So stay tuned for what is to come. Last episode of Park Center is this week, so check that out as well. yeah, I think that's all I got.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, thank you so much,
All right.
Emma. Yes, Emma will.
All right.
Emma will be on Ink and Paint, so you'll get to
Soon.
see Emma and Desi for that matter, and Stephanie for that matter. Somehow my sister invented a show and took all of my talent.
I'm here.
So,
All right, I think Mike wants to pop in,
All right.
so I will do that. All right, bye.
bye-bye. While we're waiting for Mike, I remembered what one of my rants was.
Oh, good.
We were talking about, wait.
No,
I
not
lost
that
it.
one.
Now I lost it.
Get him a Post-it or something.
What was it? I can't remember.
Hi,
All
everybody.
right, good. Mike is here to save me from my failing memory. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, it's going great. I finally got home so I could jump on.
Excellent.
I was trying to listen to the show, and all I can say is, ditto to everybody else. I mean, everybody had great points. I don't need to beat them up again. It's been kind of a long, depressing issue show, as people tell us, but I think this is important stuff that we talk about and get out. And this is such a great format for it, to talk with like-minded people, and we're mostly like-minded. So, I want to say, Jason, everybody, the crew, thanks for having us in this panel. I know we're not totally going away, and this format's changing a little, but this has been a great, great experience, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next chapter brings us.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you, Mike.
See you next
And Jason, did you forget your sunscreen today?
I did, yeah. There's a lot of concern in the chat. There's a lot of concern in the chat about how red I am. So I spent a lot of time with Pete Carney the past couple days, and I think I caught whatever affliction he has that makes him red all the time. No, actually what happened was, so I spent several hours in the pool at the Wilderness Lodge today with Tom, and there's very little shade in the pool. And I had a hat that I wore yesterday to Animal Kingdom, and I think I left it in Nomad Lounge.
Oh, no.
So I don't have my hat. Now, I had a different hat today, but I didn't want to wear that one in the pool because it's not like a waterproof one. So yeah, it was the several hours in the pool at Wilderness Lodge that did me in. But it's all right. I'll recover. So yeah. But I did for the first time ever go on the Disney whatever that chargeback website is that runs the Lost and Found now. I've never done this before, but I filled out the details in the form on that website to see if they could recover my hat. So
I hope they do.
I keep my fingers crossed. But I mean, I have other hats, but I only brought one. So I'm making a list of things I have to tell my wife and kids to bring down when they come down next Sunday, and a hat is definitely on that list. So, but yeah, I mean, pools and water parks always kind of do me in because I don't have enough hair to keep the sun off me.
Here, I'm sure Tom won't miss this. You can have this hat.
Oh, he won't miss that. No, of course not. That hat from Hong Kong. He won't miss that. That's the worst.
The studio
ride in
looks
Hong
great.
Kong, actually. Now I remember, again, what I forgot.
Quick, hurry.
When I said, I was talking, and I kind of didn't finish it, but I was talking about all these other bloggers and vloggers that are on the media list and that are always positive and that Disney can do nothing wrong and everything they do is the greatest ever. They're really doing a disservice not only to the Walt Disney Company, but to everybody who comes to the parks. Because they are making everything sound like it's great and the best ever. And what that means is that if everyone believes them, then we get the junk like we get now, when we all know that Disney can do so much better. So, I mean, obviously I can't tell everybody to, like, not go watch, Disney food blog videos or whatever, but just realize that what Disney food blog and these other bloggers that are on the media list and have to only say positive things about Disney. I mean, they're doing this to make a living because they think it's fun. But think about the disservice that they're doing to you and all the other fans by not telling it like it is and not holding Disney accountable for their poor decisions and penny pinching that makes the experience in the Disney parks much less than what it could be and what it's been in the past, to be honest. I think every day, if I could go back to Epcot in 1986, I would do it. I think it every day. I literally think it every day. There's nothing about Epcot today, nothing about Epcot today that's better than it was in 1986. Nothing.
I agree. I always tell people Epcot's my favorite park, but if I think about it, it's all nostalgia. It's where the whole thing started,
Yeah.
and it's been running that long that the first place I want to run into. But if I have to really look at it objectively, it's not the best park.
Epcot is the park that I grew up with. I mean, everybody has a favorite park, and Tom's is Studios because that's the park he grew up with. Epcot is the park that I grew up with, so it's my favorite park. And I don't think, and I mean, I'm being totally serious. I don't think there's anything at all at Epcot today that makes it better than it was in 1986. I can't think of a thing.
Were all the pavilions open by 1986?
Norway was not open. I think Norway opened in 87.
I feel like it was on one of the more recent timekeepings. It was towards the end of the 80s.
That's fine. I could do without Frozen. I mean,
Maelstrom back.
maybe I should change it from 86 to 89 or so. I mean, honestly, anywhere in that time period up until like 93 is fair game. But I challenge anyone to tell me what in Epcot today is better than it was in 1990, we'll say. Because I don't think there's anything.
There were no festivals.
The only thing that I would miss is Reflections of Earth.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that and that doesn't exist today, right? So maybe there's something that you can tell me that's better in the year 2000 or that's better in the year 2019, but there's nothing in Epcot today that's better now than it was in 1990. And that's Soarin' is better than Kitchen Cabaret. But you could go to Soarin' in California.
I do miss the orange groves.
On that note, it would be because they're both good experiences and they both sort of harken back to the Epcot theme, back in the day where edutainment and that sort of thing biased to like. But why couldn't we have both? Why couldn't we have the food pyramid or whatever as animatronics?
You could.
That sing cool songs that are people singing today.
Yeah.
As well as
Soarin'.
maybe with a straightened Eiffel Tower, Soarin', to tell you about great places around the world and make you feel like you're flying. And why couldn't you do both?
You could.
That's what always gets me. We talked about, I think it was it Michelle who said, get rid of Runaway Railway. Well, Runaway Railway is fun. It's not a replacement for great movie ride. Why
it makes no sense.
No one would.
Runaway Railway down on Sunset somewhere.
I will tell you that everyone in California will be very appreciative of Runaway Railway when it opens there, because they didn't take away a headlining attraction to build it.
Exactly.
There will be a much different sentiment about Runaway Railway in
Toontown.
California, and it makes sense in Toontown. Yes.
Wild.
All right, I just want to ask, make sure I don't see anybody else Any other panelists that are waiting to jump in here? I think Mike is the last one, but if there's anybody else,
Yep.
this is last call.
I'm watching Slack to make sure, but
Yep.
nobody's so
And
far.
I think I assume that that's it. Somebody in the chat asked about Ron. Ron is down here right now with his wife and child, so he's not going to make it. But his hair is shorter, so the reason that you all wanted to see Ron anyway is not intact, and so it's you're not missing anything of the hair. But yeah, somebody in the chat said
My dream 50th, the Harmony Barbershop would be back open again because
There
my
you go.
1-year-old still needs his first haircut.
there you go.
Oh no.
Oh, somebody said test track. So yeah, Rich, like you were saying, why can't we have Soarin' and Kitchen Cabaret? Well, we kind of couldn't have World of Motion and Test Track.
Of course we could.
Well, you could.
You just build another pavilion.
Yeah.
I mean, we are now. We were a couple of billion-dollar company. Now we're a multi-billion-dollar company. So,
Yeah, with no money to
we
spend
are
on
larger
anything.
than most of the sponsors we went after to build those
Yep.
pavilions from a
Yep.
cash and on hand and cash flow and market cap and everything else. Why not keep World of Motion the way it was and build a test track that was actually a test track as opposed to shoehorning it into a circular building
into an
that was
existing
built
building.
for something else.
I will say, like we said, that the ride concept should come before the vehicle, right? Test Track may be the exception to that. Test Track was a ride concept that was built around the vehicle.
Is that really true?
I mean,
they knew what they wanted. They wanted a high-speed, independently controlled ride vehicle that would be able to
Right.
both do all of the the really heavy-duty physical punishment,
Yeah.
as well as go 65 miles an hour
I
and
mean,
carry 4 people safely.
They had the ride concept, and they were forced to develop the vehicle to fit the ride
fill
concept.
that concept
Yeah.
that they had, I
Yeah.
think.
But I will also say that Test Track, I think, is one of the very few attractions that was crammed into an existing building that actually worked
It
well.
works, yeah.
It worked well.
Just think of how much more excellent it could be.
If it
if it
was
had
like
its own
out in the
building.
parking lot and you had an entire test
Have
track.
a building that's more the size and shape of a football stadium, which
Yeah.
would be more of a test track.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, I don't want to enclose the Oroville.
Go on about the
3-hour
parking garages
show.
at Springs for another 20 minutes, but as you all know, it's past my bedtime. Anyway, so let me just throw up this. The Hershey Park meetups, because I know people were asking. Don't go to this website yet because it doesn't exist. But these are the dates for the Hershey Park meetups. Mark them on your calendar. This is, yes, Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. And if you watch the live stream today, Jill actually said she may try to make it for one of these. Jill, the Florida resident, might try to make it for one of the Hershey Park meetups that until last week were only going to be an hour and a half from her house. So I don't know. You never know what's going to happen. But
She's been in Florida 1 week during the summertime, and she's decided she already misses Pennsylvania.
Time to move.
yeah. But yeah, so I guess Katie is live streaming now from Universal
right.
Studios
Who's gonna do
Hollywood.
the nighttime?
So go over to Universal Parks News Today on YouTube and watch Katie with the live stream. Put these dates on your calendar for Hershey Park meetups. And the final farewell from Pressing Issues. I will leave you with something that is very meaningful. Everybody wants me to say chocolate. So come to Hershey Park and get free chocolate. Thank you all so much for watching Pressing Issues. This has been a lot of fun, and like I said, it's not going away. It's just going to be reformatted a bit and combined with Park Center, and it will still be in the Sunday night time slot. So those of you who like this time slot, we'll still be here in some way, shape, or form. We're going to take a little hiatus, but we'll be back. Thanks for watching. Thank you to all of the panelists who's dropped by tonight to say some rants or some kind words. Thanks, Desi and Rich, for being in the studio with me tonight. It's been a lot of fun. This may be the last live show from this studio, actually.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I know Tom's going to film news today from here, but that's not a live show. This may be the last live show from the studio, so it's kind of fitting that it's also the last pressing issues.
And now it's time to say goodbye.
Now it's time to say goodbye. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Hit the like button before you go, and I'll leave you with something that I know everyone will appreciate, and have a good night.
I can only guess.
When I find myself at Flower and Garden, looking for some food to eat, I gotta get a spork with Spike the Bee. 58 pallets of unsold units standing right in front of me. Here for his 5th straight festival, Spike the Bee. Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee. Perfect for any food type, Spike the Bee. And while it's good for soup and chili, he's also perfect for poutine and Tupelo honey spoon bread, Spike the Bee. Plastic forks and spoons are wasteful, and they can't ever hope to be that versatile festival flatware, Spike the Bee. Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, yeah, Spike the Bee. For blood orange margaritas, Spike the Bee.
How do you meet that with a spork?
Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, Spike the Bee, yeah, Spike the Bee. Disney hopes you'll finally purchase